I am Timmy Walker, and I will be presenting my ECA presentation from the 2022 ECA conference. And this is It's Showtime, Pop Culture's Influence on Beetlejuice's Journey from Film to the Stage. All right, so to get started, just a little background on Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice is a 1988 Tim Burton comedic film starring Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder. The plot is that Adam Maitland and Barbara Maitland are new homeowners that have an accident and wake up in their home realizing that they are both dead. Quite a realization. A new family moves in, to which they are very upset because it's their home, although they are dead. They don't respond well to other people being in their own home. They are visited by Beetlejuice, a crude and eccentric ghoul who offers to help them run the new owners out of the house, essentially scare them out of the house. Okay, so this is Tim Burton's world. Tim Burton's Beetlejuice features near constant reminders of our mortality and insignificance, creating a melancholic film setting soon after introducing its happy protagonists. To the stage. So Beetlejuice, the musical, opened on Broadway in April of 2019. Unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it closed in March of 2020. However, it reopened in April of this past year. And actually, when I did this ECA presentation, it opened the day after the presentation. So that was very cool. From the screen to the stage, so naturally, when any work makes a trip across any form of media, there are changes made to make sense in the respective media form and to make sense of what the audience will be, what the projected audience is. For example, in the musical, Lydia Deet's mother has passed away, but both of her parents are alive and well in the movie. So this was a decision made to add more of an emotional connection between Lydia and Beetlejuice, and for a really good musical number. So aside from this, some of the bigger changes are the pop culture references made by Beetlejuice throughout both the film and the musical. This is the theoretical framework. I used narrative theory. It discusses narratives and how they fit into our world, both in our own lives and in the lives we see in film and television. Popular movies grab and hold our attention. One reason for this is that storytelling is culturally important to us, but another is that general narrative formulae have been honed over millennia, and that it arrived, but specific filmic form has developed and has been perfected over the last century. This is my method. I use textual analysis that was used to find examples of changes made to Beetlejuice from the screen to the stage, specifically changes in pop culture references. I will talk about some other changes though made also. So these are 1988 Beetlejuice quotes. I've seen The Exorcist about 167 times and it keeps getting funnier every time I see it. Are you Night of the Living Dead under there, like all bloody veins and pus? Go ahead, make my millennium. So these are references that were made that would have made a lot more sense to the audiences of 1988. You have The Exorcist being mentioned, Night of the Living Dead, and then Go Ahead, Make My Millennium, a Dirty Harry, Clint Eastwood reference. Nowadays, if that were in Beetlejuice the Musical, that may not make as much sense to the audience now. So 2019 Beetlejuice quotes. Like a gay Republican, I need to get out there and meet my kind of people, socially liberal but fiscally conservative. Drink your $50 wine. If you die while listening to this album, it's going to keep playing. So these are quotes that I think it makes sense for it to have been specifically for an audience in 2019. The humor is very 2019. It would not have went as well in 1988. It wouldn't have been as funny to an audience in 1988. And Drink Your $50 Wine, of course, that is because they're at a Broadway show, so different audiences across media platforms. It's not an audience in the movie theater, it's an audience going to a Broadway show where there might be $50 wine. And If You Die While Listening to This Album, of course, this is from the cast recording, so that platform as well, that makes sense in there. Okay, some themes that are present in Beetlejuice. From 1988 to 2019, naturally the general population's sense of humor has shifted, as we discussed a little bit with the quotes. Today's political climate makes references to politics more relatable and funnier to audiences. Additionally, the film crowd versus the musical crowd comes into play as well. Pun intended. Film references. Films that were relevant in 1988 are not nearly as well known over 30 years later. For example, I mentioned Dirty Harry. The Dirty Harry reference from the original Beetlejuice film likely would not affect a 2000 audience like it did in 1988. Technological shift. In the stage production, Beetlejuice makes a few jokes, references to iPhones, iPads, dating apps, and technology in general. Of course, that would have made no sense in 1988, because there are little to no references of any sort of modern technology, as there obviously wasn't nearly as much material. There weren't iPhones, there weren't iPads. So, the bigger picture, with societal changes, it is necessary to revamp a work when rebooting it or adapting it into another form of entertainment. Audiences change, humor changes, and pop culture changes as our world around us changes. And I would like to talk about one more thing before, because this is really cool. It's not really involving pop culture, but there is a musical little theme called the Dies Irae, which is 4 notes, and it's typically used to represent death. And in the musical, they actually chant this in the opening number to represent death. And it's in A Night Before Christmas, and it's just a thematic musical device used to symbolize death. And so I thought that was really cool that they used that in the musical adaptation of Beetlejuice. So, cool. All right.